Well, welcome, and thank you all for coming out. Now, I had hoped that everything I had to say could be said by the windows that were made, because indeed I put a lot of thought, a lot of effort, and a lot of myself into what I wanted those windows to do. But I've been asked to say a few words, and so I will. So for me, the church in general, and across all faiths, and this national cathedral in particular, exists as a symbolic representation of humankind's aspirations toward perfection and a desire to keep the promise of redemption when we offend and fall short of the impossible. So even the creation narratives upon which the church's legitimacy depends tells us that as soon as human beings came on the scene, things went badly for us from the start. When there were only two of them living in a garden paradise where every need was satisfied as long as they followed a single rule, they couldn't even do that. So they were kicked out of there and set out on their own. They then had two kids. One of them killed the other because he felt disrespected by a God who seemed to appreciate meat more than he liked vegetables. And he blamed his brother for that slight. Now, as the world filled with more people, their wickedness toward each other became so appalling that the God who started it all saw no other solution than to wipe them all out and start again fresh. But as we know, the story goes, even the God of the cathedral didn't have a permanent remedy against the evils that we humans seem destined to afflict on one another. Now, today's event has been organized to highlight one instance where a change of symbolism is meant to repair a breach of America's creation promise of liberty and justice for all, and to reinforce those ideals and aspirations embodied in the cathedral structure and its mission to remind us that we can be better and do better than we did yesterday, today. Now is the time, because tomorrow is not promised to any of us. Now, I was born in Birmingham, Alabama in 1955. That was 90 years after the end of the primary conflict and battles of the Civil War. 90 years. But as we know from many of the stories we hear and from movies we watch, endings don't always mean the end. So the struggle to achieve a more just and perfect union has continued in both hot and cold war styles ever since, lurching from triumph to tragedy in an uneasy truce that barely holds. Now, I've spent my entire life making pictures, so I don't hold any delusions about the transformative power of artworks. Not enough people ever see them to interrupt the dynamism and the challenges we face living from day to day. But what they can do, however, is to invite us and anybody who sees them to reflect on the propositions they present and to imagine oneself as a subject and an author of a never-ending story that is still yet to be told. Now, this is what I've tried to do and tried to accomplish with words, images, and colored glass for right here and for right now. Now, I do want to thank the selection committee for believing that I might be a pretty good choice to take on this Windows challenge. And when they said yes to the proposal I submitted, it was a tremendous relief. But on this journey to today, I've been supported and relied on the help of more than just a few people. As you heard earlier, Andrew Goldkuhl, who was the window fabricator, I relied heavily on his expertise with glass and his knowledge and skill, put all the pieces together so that the windows got set in place in time and looking as magnificent as I think they do. Now, I'm also grateful to be supported by family and friends. My aunt, Miss Juliet Davis, who has come to the Cathedral to bear witness with you and to be with me. Juliet Davis from Birmingham is with us today. She was 92 years old this year. And she is the last survivor of 5 sisters, of whom my mother was the second one. I'm grateful to be supported by my wife, Cheryl, who has joined us, my stepdaughter, Sydney Kamlaga-Dove, a first-term congressperson from California who read a selection from Ecclesiastes earlier. My cousin Kenneth, my sister Jennifer, who I see has arrived, and numerous friends that I've had and worked with for more than 40 years have made the trip to Washington to celebrate this occasion with us. I want to thank Eric Motley and the committee for making the selection for the committee, and I want to thank Randy Hollerith, the Dean of the Cathedral, who I found out we have a great deal in common when we first met. We are both incredibly dedicated and lovers of early Southern country blues, pre-war and just around the war. We bonded a little bit over some Howlin' Wolf and some Duke Boy Bonner, and with last night listening to a little bit of we've listened to, what is there? Sleepy John Estes. So, in closing, I would just have to say that I am deeply humbled, incredibly grateful for the opportunity. And hope that the themes that the windows propose continue to be a catalyst for the kind of transformation the Cathedral stands for, what the nation stands for, and what I hope we all, as members of this culture and society, will embody and stand for and bring forward ourselves. I do want to say one more thing, that Elizabeth Alexander, who is a great friend of mine, has created such an incredible piece of poetry that complements the windows and helps to amplify and deepen the message that the windows mean to present. And so thank you, Elizabeth, for being a collaborator with me. And we'll look forward to hearing you read your poem. Thank you so much.